Okay. This will be the 20th time I tried to teach this class, but here's going. All right, so in this class, we're going to look at sentence structure, how to be a little more concise with our sentences. What does that mean? That means making small sentences that fit together like blocks of Lego, sentences that are easy to speak, easy to create, and for our listener, easy to follow. Sentences that make sense. To do this, we want to look at the difference between verb to be and verb to do. And what is the difference? Well, verb to do equals the process, always. It tells the story. So do is always here. Verb to be is still. It is the end of that process. It is the result. You are what you do. So verb to be is the result. Always, always, always. If you say, I am tired, then you might say why. And verb to be will be the state, the final state. Verb to do will explain that process. It'll tell a story, or it'll show us, essentially. You say, I have recorded this class 4 times. So the verb to be will always be the end result. Verb to do will be the story. You are what you do. So why is this important, and why is this a class? Let's have a look at why. So in writing, we have this rule, which is show, don't tell. What does this mean? This means that don't treat your audience like idiots. Don't tell them what everything means. Hide some things. Make your stories like a clue. Make your story pieces that they have to assemble themselves. And when they assemble it, at the end, don't tell them what it is. Let them walk away going, what the fuck was this? That is where art becomes a little more special. As soon as that art turns into a question, right? As soon as that person walks off and they wonder, that's what art is. Art is the ability to make someone wonder. So this rule, for example, with verb to be, I always tell you what something is. With verb to do, I show you. So, for example, I could say, she was tired. So that's a verb to be, tell. Or I can show you. She dragged her feet as she walked slowly across the room. Verb to do. So what's the difference? The verb drag already has emotion. It's a heavy word, right? Something is so heavy that you cannot lift it up. Or your body is so defeated, so broken, so spent, so completely and utterly devoid of one drop of life. You cannot lift that thing. So you pull it behind you. You know, more often we drag our way through life because life is heavy. The days are long, but by the time we blink, they're gone. So she dragged her feet as she walked slowly across the room. In show, we don't tell you how she feels. We show what tired looks like, but also we let each reader make up their own mind. Some reader says she was tired. Another reader says she was depressed. Another reader says she was melancholic. Another reader says she was hungover. Every reader is correct because art is a mirror. And art is not offensive. The only thing that offends us is our own reflection. Because in a piece of art, we see ourselves, we see our soul, we see our tiredness, we see our exhaustion, we see the weight that we've been carrying for however many years. And we judge it accordingly. Every person is correct. There is no right or wrong in art. The hard thing is to be able to express it in a way that allows people to see themselves in it. If you tell someone what it means, you exclude them from that. You don't want to exclude someone. You want it to be the painting to have no name. You want to be essentially no frame. You want to allow the person to extend it, to build upon it, to make it theirs. to put themselves in it. That's why we hear the expression that like a painting paints 1,000 words. Yeah, but 50 good words puts you in the painting. That's why words are so fucking important. That's why they're so fucking astounding. It's that everyone's mind is a cinema. It's a theater. And with the right words, there's few words, right? We can make them see what we want to see. And if we're objective, we can make everybody see the same thing. It's fucking beautiful. Words are not incidental. They're not accidental. They're not these disposable, shitty fucking fragments of our fucking existence. They matter. They're meaningful. Anyway, it's getting on a different fucking zone. I think we just turned this into fucking self-opposed therapy at some point. We're dealing with Kian's unspoken demons. This was supposed to be a lesson, because I've taught this lesson 4 times, and every time it was a 50-minute class, and this fucking video won't do what it's supposed to do. I apologize for the swearing, but that's how my mom brought me up. It's all her fault. She may have excused the fucks with facts, but, I did all the interpretation myself. Okay, so why does this matter? It doesn't matter to you. You don't write books. Why should you care? Well, so let's look again at, like, be and do, right? So it's very easy with verb to be to say I am something. For example, I am a father. Or, someone can say I am a Christian. As if when you say I am this thing, that means I am automatically all the values that come along with it. Without any effort whatsoever, without any trial, I am automatically all of these values and you are not. Get the fuck out of here. We're all the same. So with verb to be, you're allowed to just declare something. And if something is true, if I've learned anything in this life, it's that if you have to declare it, then it's probably not true. It's sad, but it's kind of true. A beautiful person, beautiful people don't stand in front of the mirror saying, I'm beautiful, I'm beautiful. They know they're beautiful because when they walk down the street, people turn their heads and stare. A funny person doesn't scream in front of another person saying, I'm funny, goddammit. No. When they speak, people laugh. Things are true, and we don't have to shout them out loud. If I have to stand in front of the mirror saying, I can do this, I can do this, it's because I know that I can't. It's unfortunate, but again, it's true. So just by declaring you are something, it doesn't mean you have those attributes or that you perform that function every day. It's what's wrong or what's easy in our society. It's just having a cross that we wear around our neck or a badge that we put on our arm. It's just so easy to say, I am this. As if you're not just a person sitting on your sofa at home, just like everybody else, bored, eating chips, watching Big Brother, but telling yourself you are all of these values. So I don't tell you I'm a father. I show you. I raise 2 kids by myself. I hug my kids 50 times a day. I tell them I love them 50 different ways, 50 times a day. I play Xbox with my son. I watch silly videos with my daughter. I sit with them every fucking day they're here. And I listen to them. I listen over and over. I try to understand who they are inside. I don't try to make them follow my voice. I try to listen to their voice. I try to understand their voice, and I try to speak in the words that matter to them, that make sense to them. And to do that, every day I have to listen. Every day I have to observe. Every day they come first. Every day I am the father today that they needed yesterday. Always I'm one step behind. Always worried. So I don't tell you I'm a father. I show you with verbs. And you can say, You're a father. You can. Who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck. My world is just the things that I do. The things that I do are all that matter. They are. Anyone can say I'm a father. Anyone can. Any deadbeat father can declare that and give themselves some value, some title, some round of applause. No. You are what you do. That's it. So again, why should that matter here? Well, we're going to do an activity. This activity, we're going to try and get rid of verb to be. And we're going to replace verb to be with verb to do. So how do we do that? Well, let's come and look at our little picture here with our subject, verb, and object, our trinumerative, and let's understand this trinumerative. So we know the subject of our sentence is our protagonist, and our protagonist can only be two things, can only be the hero or the villain, and the object, of course, is our victim. This is true in all of literature. This is true in psychology. In psychology, in understanding humans, your ego is constantly trying to define its hero character, its noble self, the light, the good part that goes into society. Constantly the battle inside between good and evil. Now your shadow, that which defines your hero, is built out of two things, either your villain or your victim. Your shadow, when you look over your shoulder and you are aghast at the things that you have done in society. That's your villain. You can't believe how you let people down, how you let yourself down, how you showed weakness, how you were futile, how you were absurd, right? And you say, I will never do those things again. And you build your hero character from that. Or you look into your shadow, and your shadow is weak and ineffectual. Your shadow is impotent. Your shadow is without voice. Your shadow is without form. Your shadow is just a blob. It's infantile. It's incapable of defending itself. And you think about all the times that you have been oppressed and that everything has been done to you and you've been done wronged, and you swear, I will never let that oppression happen to me again, ever. Psychology 101. It's just how the ego is formed. There's no way to avoid this. It's just the simple rules of the brain. Hello, dog. My dog is here. Same thing in fiction. We have the hero and the villain. We have Batman and the Joker, and we have Gotham. Batman and the Joker are the same. There's no difference. They both think they are heroic. They are both saving Gotham City. Batman, of course, the billionaire entrepreneur, is trying to save the institutions, is trying to save the businesses, trying to save the buildings, trying to save the constructions, the hospitals, the police, everything, to create a sense of order. Whereas the Joker sees that the people of Gotham are enslaved by these institutions. They're enslaved to the mediocrity that's being presented by the music, by the television, that they're being tricked into mindless faith and the desire for hope, and being manipulated by lotteries, and being manipulated by institutions that are telling them to buy things to relieve their sense of growing anxiety that the institutions themselves feed them with war, that the end is coming constantly. The Joker just wants to destroy it all. He wants to liberate the people of Gotham. And it'll be painful and difficult, but once everything falls to the ground, like the great smashing of the ego, people will be free from the narratives that have been created by that very institution. The narratives of left and right, of black and white, the narratives of rich and poor, the narratives of smart and intelligent and stupid, all the narratives that are fed in to people. The Joker just wants to destroy the institution that supports and builds upon these narratives. He wants to free the people of Gotham. To do that, he has to destroy that to which they are bound. Batman, this is Jeff Bezos. He wants people to keep paying their $29.95 a month for Amazon Prime, free delivery, give them the yogurt that they need, and make sure they're still reading books, as many books as they want, on Amazon Kindle. And make sure that writers are still only getting 0.0005 of a cent for every page that someone reads. Make sure that the artists and the writers are enslaved. And hell, with Instagram, make sure that people are tricked into becoming slaves by creating for no single purpose, no monetary purpose. Make the idea of creation easy. Create a technology that does it so everyone can do it. And then the creation itself has no value. So then the real artists get trapped inside this mirage of fame and art. And the true value of art goes down to far less than the cost of a banana. So that as well is our hero, villain, and victim. In our sentence structure, that's all it is. Our object is a victim because our object has no voice. It's still, it's motionless. Even when it's an action, for example, to run, to have, to see, it's not a performing action. It is a still action. It is an object. An object is inanimate. So the object performs as a gerund and an infinitive. It is exactly like a noun. It's exactly like pizza. Right, so what we want to do in this activity, we're going to look at our subject first, define who our protagonist is, our hero or our villain. Then we'll define our object. And then lastly, we'll see how they interact. So how does our subject interact with our object? So our first sentence here is, the intention of the tax office is to audit their records. So we have this big subject here, right? Very formal. It's very formal, yes, but it also has no feeling. It has no emotion. And it has, aside from no emotion, it has no motion. It has no motion because it's verb to be. Verb to be is the end state. It's a finality. It's a piece of paper. It's a photograph. We don't want that. We want motion. We want movement. Verbs have movement, and movement has this, the right verb in the right context creates feeling. And if we use the right verb, we shouldn't need adjectives. We shouldn't need hyperbole. The verb alone, a subject, verb, and object should be enough. Coffee. So in this case, what we want to do is we want to look and say, well, okay, well, who is our protagonist? And that's here, right? That's the tax office. Now we could say, what is our object? Well, that would be their records, right? Easy. And you might say, well, okay, well, the tax office audits their records. All right, 1, 2, 3. Subject, verb, object. Now it's correct grammar, but it's a nonsensical statement. Why? Well, because we know in the simple present is not about the present. The simple present is about a constantly occurring event, a frequency. That's what the present is. Our lives are made up of different frequencies, things that we do routinely. As much as people say, I hate routine, no, your brain doesn't, fucking loves it. Everything in nature loves routine. Flowers open their petals at the same time every day and kiss the sun at the same time every day. My cats come in at the same time every morning, 5:25, and start biting my nose to wake me up for food. Everyone loves routine. Life is just math. It's just made of fractals. And so the simple present, when we say something that's true in the present, it's a prediction tool. Because if it's true today, it's true next week. And it's true kind of infinitely. That's how we think about the simple present, is things that are infinitely true until one day they're not. And that's also when our environment changes, why it feels so devastating. Because when we start processes and they become a part of us, we assume that we'll do them forever. We just live in this kind of absurd understanding or this absurd paradox of time. So that's the simple present. So that can't happen here. Why? Because the tax office wouldn't audit their records every month and every year unless they are doing something quite suspicious. So we would leave this as infinitive. And we know infinitive usually is an act, like one action in the future. We use infinitives a lot with desire verbs, like I want to do, I would like to do, I intend to do, I hope to do, I expect to do. It's always a desire for an action in the future. Whereas gerunds, I suggest doing, I avoid doing, are like talking about routines in the future. So here, we're still left looking for the verb, and I mentioned it just now. So we're going to take this noun, intention, and turn it into a verb. And that becomes intends. So let's look at these two sentences, right? The intention of the tax office is to audit their records. Okay. The tax office intends to audit their records. that's a little scarier, right? All of a sudden, it's in motion. If you're the tax office, it's a green light. If you're them, run. So by using a verb to do, using a verb of action, we create not just motion, but we create emotion too, because verbs have feelings attached to them. Okay, let's look at the next one here. So we have this, it is the responsibility of an editor to improve a document structure. Okay. Again, so who is our protagonist? Well, that's an editor. Easy. Okay, so what is our object? We'll say here, a document structure. Now, your first instinct might be to say an editor is responsible for, right? We want to change responsibility, but is there a verb for responsibility? No. We just have an adjective and we have the noun, but both of them require verb to be. He is responsible for, it is his responsibility. Now, that sounds like an important word. Now, sometimes, all the time, when you go for a job interview at HR, you'll hear this. What are you responsible for at your job? Okay. How can HR ask this question in a way that is more direct? Taking away the tassels, taking away the balloons and the streamers, taking away the bullshit, right? This is bullshit. What's a direct way? This one. What do? I can tell you I'm responsible for preparing classes and I'm responsible for teaching classes. Or I can cut out the bullshit. I prepare classes and I teach classes. That's it. So this responsibility and responsible, all they're doing is trying to make the same question sound more important than it is. They're putting tassels on the handles of the motorbike, right? They're trying to dress it up. They're putting on way too much makeup. This here is drag, essentially. It's over the top. It's hyperbolic. It's unnecessary, right? Just to make the sentence sound smarter than it already is. But that doesn't make it sound smarter, right? A smart sentence is a clear, concise sentence. So now that leaves us with what we have here. So we have this object, right? The infinitive. So let's turn that into a verb. And that's it. Then we have our subject, our verb, and of course we end with our object. An editor improves a document structure. That sounds so much better than it is the responsibility of an editor to improve a document structure. You might say, well, how? Let's look at 3 good words. They delete everything. That's what a editor does. They delete. When I edit my books, in your first draft, you write as much as you can. You write everything. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad, just fucking write. And then in your second draft, you start deleting it all. And in your second draft, you can make the good stuff better. You can make the bad stuff good. And then in your third draft, you can make that good stuff even better than it was in the second draft. Because in the first draft, you can't see anything. You're dealing with a white page. In the second draft, you're dealing with a bit of a story. And of course, everyone can improve in a story. And then your third draft, you're making that good thing exceptional. But that's what an editor does. They delete everything. An old editing trick from me, I don't know if other people do it because I don't read anything. I'm an illiterate fool and I'm unstudied and I'm a Philistine. But for me, when I edit, what I like to do is delete a sentence. And if the paragraph still makes sense, right, then you have to ask, why was it there in the first place? Well, you were just trying to fill up the page in a word count. If that's the case, then you leave it deleted. But if it is important, if it is integral, then of course it stays. And that's a big part of writing, is deleting adjectives, deleting sentences, deleting whole paragraphs, sometimes deleting characters. Yeah, you write in a character and at the end you realize, okay, well, let's get rid of that character. That character was not integral to the story and not important to the story, and their arc gets in the way somehow. We can improve this story by killing them entirely. Right, let's look at one more, because I've been doing these all day. The last one we'll look at here, there's no one even watching this at the moment. This is just me talking to a camera. And if there is someone watching this, you're not watching me. You're sitting in front of a screen watching an image. Neither one of us is here together with each other at the same moment. But we kind of are, just trapped in different parts of the world, and we both exist. God, it's all heavy. All right, last one. What we want to do, let's get rid of the ofs, and let's get rid of the is in this case. Let's get rid of all of those things. Now, this sentence here, we have what I like to call a necklace of nouns. And what's a necklace of nouns? Ah, you motherfucker. A necklace of nouns. Because of verb to be, we're allowed to just say a whole bunch of big words, and we can make this necklace. And what holds it together is be. And we just have to remember the names of all these big words. If we can remember the names of all these big words, guess what? We sound smart. But do we know what they do? No. Verb to be allows you to talk about what is, not how it does. That's very different, right? When I was a kid, everyone pretended to be an idiot. Growing up in the 80s and the 90s, everyone pretended to be stupid. We watched movies like Bill and Ted, right? And we were all pretending to be morons. Today, so it wasn't cool to be a nerd back then. Today, it's still not actually cool to be a nerd, right? To not drink alcohol, to sit at home and watch lectures, and to study things just for the sake of learning or for the sake of study, not for the sake of any purpose whatsoever. It's still not actually cool, but it's the height of fashion to pretend to be a nerd. Oh my God, I'm such a nerd. That's what's cool today, to pretend to be a nerd. Because today we are sharing stupid quotes from Einstein and stupid things that popped up on a page, and we're pretending that we're the ones who discovered it on our curious quest and wonder of the world, that we woke up this morning plagued by the very nature of our own existence, and on that journey of self-discovery we came across a treasure trove of one-liners and remarkable quotes that explain exactly the black void in which we have found ourselves. And here is evidence of my wonderful journey. I give it to you now. Instead of what it actually is that we logged into some shitty app and there was just something and we said, I'll share that and make it look like I did all the work and I had all the curiosity. So today is the age of pretending to know something about something, or pretending to know about something that you just learned about 30 seconds ago. And verb to be lets you do that because you don't have to explain how the process works. Verb to do forces you to explain the process. It exposes you. And so when we look at show, we learn more as well. So this is the last one we're going to do because I'm about to lose my voice and I got classes in a couple hours and I just want to go for a quick run. So same thing we'll do here is, okay, who is our subject? Our subject here is the students, right? A knowledge of effective sentence structure is the aim of all the students of the current cohort of this course. What is a cohort? That's just a fancy word for group. But academics, like in university, they like to use special words to make them sound smart and make you feel like a fucking retard. It's just ways that, you can say the same thing, but a group of people are going to have a special little word that nobody else uses to make them feel superior and make you feel inferior. But it just means group. Now, or type of group. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe I have no idea what it means. And I've just exposed myself. All right, so we have our subject. We're 1/3 of the way through this convoluted string of nouns. What is the object of this sentence, right? What is the focus? What is the purpose? What is the goal here? Well, it would be this, a knowledge of effective sentence structure. This whole subject really is the object. Now, so we can't use of, so that leaves a problem with knowledge. But maybe we could say the students know effective sentence structure. So we make know as our verb. That might be true at the end of the course, but not at the beginning of the course and not in the middle of the course, right? So we can't use the verb know. So we have a different problem. We can't use knowledge of. We don't want to use knowledge of. Why? Because this word is redundant. It is unnecessary. It does not improve, or it does not give more information. Why? Because knowledge is effective sentence structure. Effective sentence structure is knowledge. Right? They're the same thing. So this whole piece here is unnecessary. You're using it because you want to sound smart. That's why you start the sentence with that. A knowledge of this or that. It's because you want to make your opinion, the stupid thought that just popped into your head, you want to make it sound like something you read in a dictionary or something you read in some physics journal. And so using smart sounding words is a way that people can do that. And again, verb to be allows that. So fuck verb to be. So we have just our object as effective sentence structure. Maybe offensive too. So, okay, from what we have left, where's our verb? What can we make into a verb? Well, we don't want current cohort, we don't want course, so we're left with the aim. And yes, the aim we can turn into there. The students aim for effective sentence structure. Right? And now we have this far shorter, a little more concise sentence. Right? Let's look at the two. A knowledge of effective sentence structure is the aim of all the students of the current cohort of this course. Yeah, the students aim for effective sentence structure. Beautiful. This takes away all the bullshit, right? It takes away the tassels, takes away the streamers, takes away the nonsense, takes away the dressings, and it's less pretentious. It's not trying to be anything. It's just being objective, right, to the point. And so when we describe any process, especially if we're building sentences, we want to be as concise as possible, as simple as possible. Subject, verb, object. One of the better sentences I've ever seen in my life is this one, that, existence precedes essence. A simple sentence, 3 words. 1 word is a subject, a verb, and an object. That sentence, you can spend your career unwrapping it, understanding it, analogizing it, picking it to pieces. It's a Pandora's box that you can just spend your whole life trying to understand and apply to every aspect of your absurd nature. But it's a brilliant sentence. Right? It only has 3 parts. There's no fat in this sentence at all. As a writer myself, this is the dream, is to say in a few words what takes people an entire lifetime. It takes at least a book to say in 3 words. It's beautiful. It's so hard to do. So very hard to do. But again, when we describe things clearly, it exposes us. Either we have something novel, something new to say, or we don't. If you don't have anything that adds to the discussion, if you don't have anything that is new, shut the fuck up. Yeah, shut the fuck up. Don't worry. Don't scratch that itch. Sit down, relax, listen, wait. Sometimes the loudest voices come from the most ignorant minds. Those who are wildly overconfident are those who are so quickly to shout, stand up and scream, to shout their voices over one another. It's the internet. There's a bunch of people who watched a video yesterday, kind of understood it, and then remade the exact video frame by frame so they could post it on their own channels. Just wildly overconfident people. The greater ideas, the ideas that are truly novel, that might just move us in a different direction, they're usually in the hands of quiet voices. Right? They're usually in the hands of people who are unsure, insecure, a little bit of imposter syndrome, and worried about whether or not the truth they found is worthwhile or really good. It's the fragile in their hands. Right? Their voices are rarely heard. For us to hear those voices, we have to shut the fuck up and listen for whispers. And then maybe we'll have some fucking decent discourse as human beings and move in a far more interesting, engaging, and evolving nature as a fucking species, instead of this menial arguments left and fucking right, drowning our sorrows in Big Brother and fucking Anita and fucking Coldplay and just garbage and mediocrity, gorging on McDonald's and fucking the Journal National, Jesus Christ. If we listen, we can hear the soft whisper of great ideas. But they're there. And so, again, when we use these simple sentences, this lesson is obviously about something else. I have no fucking idea. This is just a way of me letting shit out. If this didn't record, I don't care. I'm fucking uploading it. I don't give a shit. If you're just looking at a blank screen, I'm not. But that's pretty much what my life, or life itself, how it rolls. Keep your sentences keep your fucking sentences simple. Keep it simple, sweetie. So when it comes to processes, yes, we want the simplicity of subject, verb, object. Yeah, and it does. It exposes you. No hyperbole, kids. No adjectives if you don't need adjectives. The right verb has emotion. You don't need adjectives. You just need to describe action. And all the fucking emotion is there. Yeah, you just need to understand how verbs work, how language works. So fuck the hyperbole. Fuck the adjectives. Right? Keep your sentence simple unless, of course, we're asking questions. And yeah, English is a little, yeah. So when it comes to us imposing ourselves on other people, when we're asking for help, or when we're asking for information, yeah, we have to be indirect and we have to make our sentences as convoluted as possible. We have to fill them, dilute them with as many words as possible, and to be as indirect as possible, to not touch on what we want. Because that's just part of the stupid nature of language. And knowing how to go between direct and indirect is also very important in our communication, in understanding empathy, and understanding the subtle nature that is how we move in and out of different rooms and communicate with one another. That's it. I'm done. I've tried to record this 4 times today. There's been like 3 different cats throughout this process sitting here. All of them are sleeping like fucking angels. But I have a sore feeling that as soon as I click stop here, I'm going to have a devastating reality that none of this actually recorded. Let's see what that looks like. I'll see you in the next video. I won't see you, and you're not even watching this anyway. This is, again, just me and a Logitech camera sitting on top of a computer, alone in a house with a fan beside me. Not a good fan, but it's a fan nevertheless. It doesn't keep away the heat, but it makes me feel like at least I have some semblance of control over my life, which of course we don't. That's it. Thank you.